She didn't return home late. She returned home intentionally. There was a distinction. Late is unintentional. Intentional is a statement. "I told you I was going," she said, placing her heels by the door like emphasis. I didn't conceal anything. She said it before I inquired, which meant the discussion had already been prepared, which meant the evening wasn't about joy. It was about response. Her former partner was throwing a gathering. She had brought it up lightly 2 days prior. "I might attend," she said, studying my expression instead of completing her thought. I told her it was her choice. I didn't probe. I didn't display unease because I had learned something about her over the last 8 months. She doesn't react to limits. She reacts to opposition. Opposition confirms significance. Indifference disturbs her. So when she said she might attend, I nodded, and that was the moment something changed, because I noticed disappointment flash for half a second, like I had declined to play my role. The day of the gathering, she took longer to prepare than normal. Clothes swapped, makeup refined, pictures captured and removed, each action slightly louder than needed, not to update me to prompt comment. I said nothing, not harshly, not passively, just evenly. Evenness is often confused for detachment, but sometimes it's simply watching. She left around 9. "Don't stay awake," she said. I nodded once more, and she paused just for a moment as if the remark needed a reply she didn't get. Then she left. The apartment felt calmer than usual, not vacant, clear. I didn't check her social accounts. I didn't message. I didn't ask where it would lead, because curiosity in that moment would not be knowledge. It would be bargaining, and I wasn't bargaining. At midnight my phone vibrated. A shared friend had shared a group image. She was there, nearer to her ex than distance demanded, grinning broader than typical. The caption was light. The composition was not. I closed the app because viewing is not the same as comprehending. An interpretation under feeling is unreliable. At 2:30 I heard the key in the door, not hurried. Not silent, intentional, she walked in, surveyed the space, and spotted me on the sofa. Awake, reading, she stopped. Not because I was present, because I was composed. "You're still awake," she said. "I couldn't rest," I replied. That was accurate but not full. She waited, for inquiry, for response, for something that would validate the evening. Nothing arrived. "I had fun," she added. I nodded. "I am glad." The sentence settled heavier than quiet, because it eliminated tension entirely. And tension was the exchange she had committed to. She walked to the kitchen, poured water, drank deliberately. Still waiting, still assessing, still hunting for strain. "Don't you want to know anything?" she asked at last. The question exposed more than any reply could. Want, not need, not deserve, want. "I trust you to handle your own choices," I said. She placed the glass down with more force than required. "That's not what this is about," I agreed. "It's about something," I said, "but I don't think it's about your ex." The room altered, not dramatically, but enough. Because naming the wrong element destabilizes the balance. She folded her arms. "What do you think it's about?" I closed the book gradually. Timing matters in exchanges like this. "It's about whether I respond," I said. Her expression shifted. Not fury, recognition, and then something else. Doubt. Because once a pattern is identified, it loses strength. "That's absurd," she said. But her tone was softer, less sure. "You went to his gathering," I continued. "You knew I wouldn't appreciate it." She opened her mouth to cut in, then stopped, because denial would require details. "And you waited to see if I would resist?" I added. She didn't reply. Silence can affirm more than words. Here is where most people intensify, accuse, demand, establish control through loudness. But intensification nourishes the pattern, and I had no interest in nourishing it, so I did something she didn't anticipate. I stood up. "I'm going to bed," I said. She stared at me. "That was not the plan." "Wait," she said. The word came out quicker than she meant. I paused. "What?" I asked. Now she needed to occupy the void, and void is where truth often emerges. "You don't care," she said, not accusing, asking. There it was, not jealousy, not fury, fear. "Care about what?" I asked. "About me," she said, and suddenly the entire evening reframed itself. The gathering wasn't about her ex. It was about confirmation, about testing whether absence creates response, about measuring significance through disturbance. "Do you need me to be disturbed to feel important?" I asked quietly. The question landed heavier than any charge because it didn't assault, it revealed. She looked away first. "That's not fair," she said. "Fairness is often mentioned when truth becomes uneasy." "I didn't say it was," I replied. I asked a question. She sat down gradually. The show was finished. What remained was something less managed. "I just wanted to see," she admitted. "See what? How much I matter," she said. And for the first time that evening, there was no tactic in her voice, just doubt. That was the turning point. Not the gathering, not the photo, the admission. Because now the dynamic had changed from action to reason, and reason requires a different kind of reply. "I don't measure people through responses," I said. "I measure them through steadiness." She nodded gradually. But comprehension and agreement are not the same. The next few days were calmer, not remote. Intentional, she was more engaged, more thoughtful, not out of regret, out of adjustment. Patterns don't vanish. They adapt. A week later, she mentioned her ex again, casually, not challengingly. The difference was slight, but it counted. "I ran into him," she said. "I listened, without reacting, without pulling back, just listening." Because absence of reaction is not the same as absence of involvement, and that distinction alters everything. But the real outcome came later, not in a discussion, in a choice. She stopped testing. Not fully, not forever, but clearly, because tests require doubt, and doubt decreases when patterns are recognized. Would things have gone differently if I had reacted that night? Probably. There would have been a dispute, temporary comfort, short-term understanding, and long-term repetition, because reactions strengthen the system that produces them. But by declining the reaction, I pushed the discussion to go deeper, from action to need, from challenge to vulnerability. That is not a fix, it is a change. And changes are what relationships are built on. Not wins, not control, not quiet. Alignment. And alignment requires seeing what is actually being requested, not just what is being done. Personal reflection. This situation demonstrates how actions often conceal deeper emotional requirements. Her choice to attend the gathering was not solely about social engagement. It was a form of examination, a way to measure importance through response. The protagonist's composure disrupted the anticipated dynamic. Instead of strengthening the cycle of challenge and reply, he redirected the exchange toward underlying reasons. This method did not remove conflict, it reframed it. Her admission revealed vulnerability rather than intent to hurt. That distinction matters, because addressing vulnerability requires empathy, not dominance. At the same time, composure carries risk. Without dialogue, it can be misread as detachment. The balance lies in combining emotional steadiness with directness. Neither suppression nor intensification creates stability. Only awareness does.